The blood on my uniform had already dried to rust brown by the time Ethan climbed out of his father's Mercedes. My 8-year-old son dragged his Spider-Man backpack across the driveway, his small shoulders slumped in a way that made my chest tighten. Sunday evening drop-offs were always hard, but something about tonight felt different. "Hey, baby," I called out, forcing brightness into my voice despite the exhaustion that sat on my bones like lead. "How was Dad's?" Ethan stopped 3 feet from me, his eyes fixed on my uniform. On the blood. "Sarah says real moms don't work night shifts." The words hit me like a physical blow. I just finished a 12-hour shift that included a multi-car pileup on I-95. 3 critical, 1 DOA. A 7-year-old girl who looked too much like Ethan. I'd held her hand while we cut her from the wreckage, promised her mother we'd save her. We did. The blood on my uniform was proof of that promise kept. "Real moms bake cookies," Ethan continued, still not meeting my highs. "And they're home when kids get back from school. And they don't miss soccer games because of work." I knelt down, bringing myself to his level. "Ethan, honey." Sarah made snickerdoodles. He finally looked at me, and the judgment in his 8-year-old eyes nearly broke me. "From scratch. She says store-bought cookies are for moms who don't care enough." Ryan's Mercedes was already pulling away, but I caught a glimpse of Sarah in the passenger seat. Blonde, polished, wearing the kind of sundress that never saw a bloodstain or a graveyard shift. She'd been Ryan's secretary before she became his wife, 23 to his 38, with all the time in the world to play homemaker in the house my alimony checks helped pay for. "Come on," I said quietly. "Let's get you inside. I'll make dinner." Frozen pizza again. The disdain in his voice wasn't his. It was learned. Practiced. "Actually, I made lasagna this morning before my shift. It's in the fridge." But he was already walking past me, careful not to let my bloody uniform touch him. I stood in my driveway for a long moment, watching the sun set over our small duplex. 2 years post-divorce, and I thought we found our rhythm. Ryan got weekends, I got weekdays. He got to be Disney dad with his new wife. I got homework and discipline and rushing from school pickup to night shifts. But we were making it work. Or so I thought. Inside, Ethan had already disappeared into his room. I peeled off my uniform, throwing it into the washing machine with the practiced efficiency of someone who cleaned blood out of fabric too many times to count. The shower was hot enough to hurt, but it couldn't wash away the echo of my son's words. Real moms don't work night shifts, I'd become a paramedic before Ethan was born, back when Ryan claimed to admire my dedication to helping others. That admiration lasted exactly until I went back to work after maternity leave. Suddenly, my life-saving career became selfish. My irregular hours were abandonment. The lives I saved meant nothing compared to the PTA meetings I missed. The lasagna reheated while I changed into clean clothes. I'd made it from scratch yesterday morning after getting home from a shift, before catching 4 hours of sleep. The meat sauce had simmered for 3 hours. I grated fresh mozzarella and parmesan, made the bechamel from memory. It was Ethan's favorite. "Dinner's ready," I called. He came out reluctantly, slumping into his chair like I was forcing him to eat gruel. 2 bites in, though, his face softened. "This is good, Mom." "Thanks, baby." I pushed my own portion around, appetite gone. "So tell me about your weekend, besides the cookies." We went to the country club. Sarah played tennis with me. She says she can come to all my soccer games since she doesn't have to work. Each word was a carefully placed knife. I wondered how long Sarah had been planting these seeds, how many weekend visits it had taken to turn my son against me. "That's nice," I managed. "You know I come to every game I can." "You missed the last 3. "I was working, Ethan, saving lives." He shrugged, 8 years old and already mastering his father's dismissive gestures. "Sarah says being a mom should be the most important job." I set down my fork carefully, reminding myself that he was 8. He was repeating what he'd been told. This wasn't really him. "Do you remember last month when your friend Jake's grandpa had a heart attack?" Ethan nodded wearily. "I was the paramedic who saved him. If I hadn't been working that night shift, Jake's grandpa might have died." And remember the car accident near your school? The one where the crossing guard got hurt? That was my partner Maria and me who helped her. She's back at work now because we were there." Ethan pushed lasagna around his plate, processing this. "Sarah says I'd like to hear what you think, I interrupted gently, not what Sarah says. What do you think? He was quiet for so long, I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I think, I wish you were home more. I wish that too, baby, every single day. That night, after Ethan was asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and a cup of coffee strong enough to strip paint. I'd been documenting everything since the divorce. Every missed child support payment, every time Ryan was late for pickup, every passive-aggressive text. But I'd never thought I'd need to document this. I started typing. Sunday, October 15th. Ethan returned from weekend visit expressing that Sarah says real moms don't work night shifts and real moms bake cookies. Child appeared distressed and withdrew from physical affection. Expressed criticism of my work schedule and career that mirrors ex-husband's previous complaints. The coffee turned cold as I typed, documenting every comment, every shift in my son's behavior over the past few months. The pattern emerged like a toxicology report, slow poisoning of a child's mind against his mother. Monday morning came too fast. I dropped Ethan at school, knowing how he let me hug him but didn't hug back. Then I drove to my lawyer's office, still in the scrubs I'd thrown on at 5 a.m. Natalie Reeves had handled my divorce with the kind of ruthless efficiency that made Ryan's lawyer cry twice. She took one look at my face and poured me coffee without asking. What did he do now? I slid her my documentation. She read in silence, her expression growing darker with each page. Parental alienation, she said finally. Clear as day. The question is what we do about it. I want to request a modification of custody. She leaned back. Based on what grounds? On the grounds that his new wife is systematically turning my son against me. That she's psychologically manipulating an 8-year-old to believe his mother's career, saving lives, makes me less of a parent. You have proof beyond these comments. I thought about Ethan's face, the careful way he'd avoided my uniform. What kind of proof do you need? More than hurt feelings, we need a pattern. Documentation. Maybe even recordings if Illinois law allows. Then I'll get it. The next 2 weeks were an exercise in patience. I smiled when Ethan came home parroting Sarah's wisdom about proper mothers. I didn't react when he mentioned Sarah was teaching him to cook, since working moms don't have time. I documented everything, building my case like I'd build a patient report. Methodically, thoroughly, without emotion clouding the facts. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Mom? Ethan appeared in my doorway the Thursday before his next weekend visit. Can I bring cookies to school tomorrow? It's Marcus's birthday and his mom always brings treats. I was off shift, miraculously. Of course, baby. Want to make some together. His face lit up for the first time in weeks. Really? We made chocolate chip cookies from scratch. Ethan carefully measuring ingredients while I told him stories about baking with my own mother. He was laughing, covered in flour, when he suddenly stopped. Mom, can I tell you something? Always. Sarah records me sometimes, when I talk about you. My hand's still in the mixing bowl. What do you mean records you? With her phone. She asks me questions about you and our house and what we do. Then she shows Dad the videos later. They laugh sometimes. I kept my voice carefully neutral. What kind of questions? Like what you cook, and if you're tired a lot, and if you ever have anyone over, and about your work schedule. He bit his lip. Is that bad? No, baby, you didn't do anything wrong. Thank you for telling me. I tucked him in that night with extra stories and kisses, then called Natalie immediately. Recording a minor without consent is illegal in Illinois, she said after I explained. If we can prove this, it changes everything. How do we prove it? Leave that to me. The next weekend visitation came too quickly. I handed Ethan over to Ryan with the usual pleasantries, then watched them drive away. What happened next was Natalie's orchestration. A private investigator, licensed and thorough, observed the house. Completely legal from public property. By Saturday afternoon, he had what we needed. Video of Sarah sitting with Ethan on the back patio. Her phone clearly recording as she asked him leading questions about my dangerous job and whether I was too tired to take care of him properly. But the real gift came from Sarah herself. She posted the cookies on Instagram. Not just any cookies, the ones Ethan and I had made together. She claimed them as her own creation, Hashtags including hashtag realmombaking, hashtag homemade with love, hashtag stepmomlife. The comments were a chorus of praise for her dedication to her son. I screenshot everything. Monday morning, we were back in court. Emergency hearing for custody modification based on parental alienation and illegal recording of a minor. Ryan showed up looking confused, Sarah nowhere to be seen. Your Honor, Natalie began, we have evidence that Mrs. Henderson has been systematically alienating my client's son against her, using manipulation and illegal recording to damage the mother-child relationship. The judge, Honorable Patricia Kim, a working mother of 3, reviewed our evidence with sharp eyes. The documentation, the PI's video, the Instagram post claiming my bonding activity with Ethan as Sarah's own. Mr. Henderson, Judge Kim's voice was arctic. Are you aware your wife has been recording your minor son without his mother's consent? Ryan's lawyer whispered frantically in his ear. I didn't know about any recording. And these social media posts claiming maternal activities that actually occurred at the mother's residence? More frantic whispering. Ryan's face had gone pale. Your Honor, his lawyer stood. My client was unaware of his wife's enthusiastic documentation of family life. Enthusiastic? Judge Kim's eyebrows rose. Is that what we're calling parental alienation now? The hearing lasted 2 hours. By the end, Ryan had thrown Sarah under the bus so completely I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I'm modifying the custody arrangement, Judge Kim announced. Given the evidence of systematic alienation and illegal recording, weekend visitations will be supervised for the next 3 months. Mr. Henderson, you will attend co-parenting counseling with Ms. Martinez. Your wife is prohibited from being present during visitations until further notice. Your Honor, Ryan started. Furthermore, she continued, any evidence of continued alienation will result in full custody reverting to Ms. Martinez. Am I clear? Yes, Your Honor. As we left the courthouse, Natalie squeezed my shoulder. Sarah's cookies made excellent evidence. That night, I picked Ethan up from school in my uniform. I'd just come off shift. No blood this time, just exhaustion and the satisfaction of a life saved. Mom, he ran to me, no hesitation. Guess what? We learned about community helpers today, and I told everyone my mom's a paramedic. Mrs. Foster says you're a hero. Yeah? Yeah. And Marcus asked if you could come talk to our class about saving lives, and I said you work a lot but you try because you always try for important stuff. I hugged him tight, feeling something inside me finally unclench. Sarah's not coming this weekend, he said quietly into my shoulder. Dad told me. How do you feel about that? He pulled back, considering. I think maybe real moms are the ones who show up even when they're tired, right? I think you're pretty smart for 8. Mom, I'm sorry I said those mean things about your job. You don't need to apologize, baby. You were trying to understand something complicated. Sarah made it seem simple. But it's not simple, is it? Important stuff usually isn't. I smoothed his hair, this wise child of mine. No, it's not. But we'll figure it out together. Always. That weekend, just Ethan and me, we baked cookies. Snickerdoodles because I'm petty, and they turned out better than Sarah's Instagram photos. We delivered them to the fire station where my partner Maria was on shift, letting Ethan see where Mom worked, the lives we saved, the family we built in fluorescent-lit stations and the back of ambulances. Real moms work night shifts, he asked, watching Maria check the equipment. Real moms do whatever it takes to care for their families and their communities, I said. Sometimes that means baking cookies. Sometimes it means saving lives. Sometimes it means doing both on 3 hours of sleep. He nodded solemnly, then broke into a grin. My mom does both. That makes you supermom. 6 months later, the supervised visitation was lifted. Ryan had completed co-parenting counseling and credit where due, had genuinely worked to repair the damage. Sarah was allowed back, with strict guidelines about appropriate step-parent behavior. She sent me a letter, once. A short apology that felt more like obligation than remorse. I didn't respond. Some bridges, once burned, weren't meant to be rebuilt. But Ethan and I were stronger. He understood now that love doesn't look like Pinterest-perfect cookies and country club afternoons. Sometimes love looks like a mother in blood-stained scrubs, coming home exhausted but still showing up. Sometimes it looks like frozen pizza after a double shift, eaten together while sharing stories about our days. Sometimes it looks like choosing to save lives, even when the world tells you real moms stay home. The cookies, though, we still make those from scratch, because real moms, we can do both.